inside that little porch up on the shelf. Right. And I can remember Grandpa once reaching up to get me one of these lids, and there was a snake up on the ledge up in that little shed. But it was funny, when we went back to the farm years ago, look, that shed wasn't there, so I think it must have been taken down.
The house is gone too.
The house was, it was half dilapidated when we were there.
Yeah.
But I can remember Grandpa taking my hand and walking out to the granary.
Mm-hmm.
And the chicken coop.
What's the granary?
That's where they kept the grain. That's where they stored the grain. And I can remember Grandma going out to get butter out of she had like a cold cellar in the side of the hill.
Yeah,
That's right.
we had a description of that.
Yeah. And I can remember going, because that always freaked me out. Grandma was going into the hill. Like, that was pretty scary.
Did she ever come out again?
Yeah. And I remember that. It's funny, that's a few, very few. I can remember the front porch of that house, or the front room of that house, because that was off limits. And inside were all these religious pictures, of Mary, Mother Mary. Yes. And they scared the bejeebers out of me. And I thought, oh, this is a very scary room, because it was dark. The curtains were pulled, and there
This
was
was
all
the
these.
living room, right?
This was the front living room, but we
yeah.
never went into the front living room. That
no,
was
you weren't
always off
allowed.
limits. Yeah. But I do remember that. So.
No, that was where they put the crib where Deb was.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And yet, I must tell you, I have memories of the farm as well. I was a baby, but I remember Grandma and Mom and whoever was there making pierogies. And I remember all this pastry being rolled on these little, on table, and all the flour being around.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I mean, I was knee-high to a grasshopper in diapers, but I do remember that.
Well, I can remember Grandma had this big galvanized like tub kind of thing that she would put on the stove to heat the water, and we would bath in that when we were really little.
Oh, right.
I remember that. Yeah. And she always had the kettle on. Like there was always always a kettle on. The stove was always, I think, on 90% of the time.
Because she had a reservoir at the end of the stove where the water was heated from the big...
Yeah. But it's funny, I mean, we were, 4, I think was the last time, or 5 when Grandma sold the farm. So all those memories are from our first 4 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
You didn't make it to the farm?
No, I don't think I ever made
No,
it to the
because
farm.
he wasn't
No,
born yet.
I was baby enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember the stories about the farm, and I can remember Mom talking about Grandma picking mushrooms, going out into the woods and picking mushrooms and knowing which ones to pick, so that they could eat them.
I never heard that.
And of course, and Mom remembered playing marbles with.
Mice.
No, it was with rabbit dropping.
Rabbit, yeah, because there were little round things.
Because
They
they
must
were.
have been big.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
And they used to take the mice and do like little harnesses with the mice, and then have like little, like they
Mice
would
with
pull these
real
little
mice?
Yeah, real mice.
That was their pets.
That
Yeah.
were their pets.
And I remember Mom saying that they, everywhere around the farm, they found Indian arrowheads.
Oh,
the
really?
flint.
Wow, didn't know that.
And then when they were really young, they would ski. I mean, they were just boards. They weren't, they weren't proper skis, but and they would put these on their feet, and they would ski down the hill, I guess, behind the granary. And Mom said there's a few times where they just about made contact with that granary.
Bones from chickens or something like that. What was they used to use bones or skis or
Skates or something, probably.
Animal bone, anyway. I'm not sure what. I forgot what it was.
And they skied to school.
Yeah.
No, they walked 10 miles in bare feet.
In 5-foot-high
Snowbanks, yeah.
So Uncle John, do you remember meeting Aunt Gwen when you were first engaged, and did you meet her at that time?
I gotta go back at time. That's I'm going back in time. When I think of when I first met what boy.
They were all living together. That's right?
Yeah.
Was it Gwen
Yeah, Rose
and Rose and Mom?
Three
And that
of
was
them.
in New Liskard?
Yeah, that was on Fair Avenue in Ilskert.
Yeah.
Now, where were they all? What were they doing? Were they all working at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where did Gwen work?
I'm not sure what it was.
She was very young though, I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
she
not
would have
going
just
to
graduated
school.
from school or was
Yeah.
still, she was a teenager, I think she was like 17
She
or
left home
18.
very young.
Yeah, she was pretty young.
So did Gwen approve of you as, getting together with Lee? Did she think you'd be a good husband, or
Well,
did you have any impression?
Gwen was a very outgoing girl, you know?
Outgoing, yeah?
Yeah, she'd get on the farm there and get on that tractor and go take her around the field.
Really?
Yeah, sure, she's a real farmerette.
Oh, that's a good one.
She's a great person, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
She was a bit heavier at the time too, but she's always smiling, laughing. She loves to dance and all that stuff too, like myself, like her mommy. And
So you hit it off pretty good.
and Bill, oh yeah, I did all right. So at 1946, we were married in 1949. And from that wonderful marriage, we have 3 wonderful children.
There they are.
Here we are.
So do you want to wish Gwen a happy 80th?
Absolutely. Auntie Gwen,
Yeah.
happy
Happy,
80th
happy,
birthday.
happy birthday.
And we love you.
Yes, very much. We want to hit 90 now. That's your next milestone.
Happy birthday
To
you.
Happy birthday to
you.
Happy birthday, dear
Gwen.
Happy birthday
to you.
I remember Aunt Gwen coming to our place the first time she came for dinner. I had a nice roast in the oven in a Pyrex dish. And it just so happened that I poured a little bit of cold water in the gravy in the oven, in the dish. So the whole roast exploded in the oven. So when Gwen came, there was a big mess to clean. That's the first thing that's what I think about
You
when
invented pulled beef.
when I think about Gwen, that's what I think about. That's the thing that.
Yeah. And how did she take it, the dinner?
Oh,
was
she was a
kinda-
good sport.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You found something to feed her anyways?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It all worked out.
Get Bill to go get something else.
Yeah. And how did...
And it wasn't a roast. I don't remember what
yeah.
it was, but
It exploded.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you pour cold water in a Pyrex hot dish.
I'll remember not to do that.
Yeah, well, remember not to do that because it makes a big mess.
Now, how did Uncle Bill and Aunt Gwen get along? Because they were a bit of an
Oh, I
age
think
difference.
we got along real fine.
They did, yeah,
I loved Gwen, and she used to come and visit us with her friend.
yeah.
And I still now phone her once in a while and keep in touch.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Good. And do you guys have memories of your Aunt Gwen?
Not so much. She come to visit, but I don't really remember that. I was very young or whatever. But they still talk about it.
Do
It
you
was-
remember
they
the
had fun.
time that Aunt Gwenny came when we were remodeling the house
When they came with their trailer.
with their trailer?
Yeah. I remember being like amazed at the size of this camper trailer in the
Yeah.
driveway.
Dad, they had a trailer, and we were remodeling our house. And Gwen could not believe that we would let all these people walk in. All their friends were helping
Right.
with the remodeling of the house, the digging and whatnot. And Gwen could not believe that these people were just walking in and out of the house like, do they all live here?
Wow.
So that was a great trip when they had come to see us. We really enjoyed that vacation.
Where was that?
In Timmins.
Oh, up in Timmins.
We came to Timmins when kids were very little. We came in a trailer, a big trailer.
Right.
So it was great.
Yeah. So do you want to wish Gwen a happy 80th?
Oh, certainly.
Happy 80th.
Happy
But the best 80th birthday.
Happy birthday.
I have a card for her in my purse.
By the time she sees this,
She'll probably already have
gotten
it. Hope you like the card.
All right. From the heart.
Okay.
Card from the heart.
Oh, the cool
And then
room.
then the barn, and then the path went up like that, and then you went along a ways, and you'd be to a gravel pit, and I remember all. It's here.
Yeah, and
You know,
the chicken coop. Remember the chicken?
Yeah. Oh, listen. I was in the chicken coop when they decided to cut.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was my first real experience in the reality of life. Of when you eat a chicken,
Where your food
this
really
is what
comes
this
from.
is where it really comes from. That was
Wow.
good. I mean, you know. Oh yeah, I remember all that, and they had a building with all kinds of bread in it, and I thought that was so neat because Grandma baked all this bread and then kept it, you know, through the winter for feed. It was. I spent a lot of
feed the
time there.
chickens.
Well,
And
they
they had
fed.
cows.
Yeah. And there was a little down a ways was a little well, and that's the well that my mom went into, and your dad saved her.
Really?
He pulled her out.
Okay, we got to record this one. Oh, are you recording?
Oh.
Okay, hey, you're on film.
And then if you went farther back behind the house was a pond, and apparently somebody almost drowned there, and somebody had to be saved. I don't know how many people know, but some of the parents, the aunts and uncles, wouldn't have been with us if the others hadn't saved them.
If the siblings
Yeah,
took
yeah,
care of them.
yeah.
'Cause too
And they
many
would
kids.
go down that road in the wintertime. They used to ski down it, and the skis were made by your dad and the older guys in the family because they knew how to do it. Out of they used to make it themselves. They didn't buy them.
Out of barrels or?
Yeah,
Barrel
staves.
staves.
Yeah, and they'd be able to ski on them.
Wow.
It was. I remember all that because I spent a couple of summers there. So,
You stayed all summer?
well, not the whole summer. You know, it seemed like the whole summer when you're that old.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my God, when am I going to get out of here? But Aunt Gwen was more like my big sister.
Really?
Yeah, because she lived with us for a while in town.
Oh,
When she-
right.
Yeah, and
'cause she was
I
very
just thought of
close
her
to
the
your
same
mom.
as I think of my sister. Well, my sister's this old, and then my other big sister is a little older.
Wow.
And
So did Jenny kind of raise her in a way?
no,
or
no,
were
no.
they
This
more
was
like,
this was when you wanted to get a job or get an education, you had to come to town. You couldn't stay out on the farm, so she stayed with us for a while.
wow.
And you know, that's the same with all of my aunts and uncles. That's why it's nice to see my cousins and see their children, but I come to see my aunts and uncles, Aunt Gwen, all of them, because for me they're such an important part of what I remember as it's an important part.
Of your life, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so Gwen was, you were pretty close to her then?
Oh yeah, Aunt Gwen, yeah, for sure. Well, I like to think I was close to all my aunts and uncles because they're very important people to me, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever said that.
Well, and how old were you when she lived with you?
Well, I had to be before I was 13 because I was 13 when I came to Toronto, and when I came to Toronto for the first little while, I lived with her and Uncle Len, and she was pregnant with Glenn.
Ah,
So that's how I know exactly how much older that I am than Glenn, because right after I lived with her for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, and then Glenn was born right after I left. I started school, so you know, in a way, Glenn and I are united in that way. He doesn't realize it, but always, because you know big anticipation. This is going to be the first child. This is a big deal for Len and Gwen, and then
and the baby of the family. She was a baby.
yeah.
That's very special.
Yeah, but she was, as I say, more like, I didn't think of her as my aunt. I thought of her more as my big sister.
That's great.
So,
And how did your mom, Aunt Jenny and Aunt Gwen get along?
oh, they well, my mom got along with everybody. I think
Yes,
pretty
Jeannie
well.
Jenny, we know that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, she was the big sister of my Aunt Gwen, and that's when I grew. That's what my mom taught me about my aunts and uncles. She thought they were all pretty special, and to have Gwen living with her was just that was good too. She liked that. So
That's great. So she'd look out for her, like check out her boyfriends and
I don't know about that. She didn't talk about that with the
Oh,
little kid.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I was oblivious to all that. But I think that was pretty much what the whole family did. They looked after one another. You know, all the way your dad and Ann, they looked after the little ones. The family raised the young ones, not just grandma and granddad.
Yeah.
They raised each other. They looked after each other. The older ones wrote out the names of the younger ones in English.
Really?
Yeah, the first ones had their names in Ukrainian, but the later ones got it in English because the older ones translated it into English,
Wow,
the spelling and everything. So, yeah.
that's spectacular. So do you want to wish your aunt a happy birthday?
Well, of course, Aunt Gwen, for sure. You're important to me, and I wish you a very happy birthday, and I hope you share some happy memories with me.